The New Year's countdown chimed in the distance as Mira wandered into the old forest, her friends' laughter fading behind her. Midnight was near, and Mira was looking for her lost necklace, a family heirloom, irreplaceable. As the last seconds ticked, she spotted a glint in the moonlight by the base of an ancient tree. She reached out to grab it. 10, 9. Her fingers closed around the necklace, but as she pulled it free, something else rose from the earth. A bony hand, dry and gray, with fingers that twisted around her wrist. 8, 7. Mira froze, unable to scream, as the hand's grip tightened, pulling her closer to the cold, damp soil. 6, 5. The air turned frigid as a face appeared, hollow-eyed and grinning, whispering secrets of a curse older than she could fathom. 4, 3. Mira tried to yank herself free, but her strength was no match for the thing pulling her down. Her vision blurred. 2, 1. The countdown ended with a cheer from the town, but in the dark of the forest, Mira was gone, the necklace left gleaming on the ground, as if waiting for the next to find it.
Elias froze. He wanted to turn away, to leave it there in the water, but something compelled him forward. With trembling hands, he reached into the net and cut it free. The creature's hand, slimy, cold as death, shot out, grabbing his wrist with a strength that defied its fragile frame. For a moment, Elias couldn't move. He was drowning in those black eyes, the world around him fading. When he finally snapped out of it, the creature was gone, leaving only deep purple bruises on his arm. As he stumbled back, catching his breath, the sky seemed to grow darker, clouds swirling above as though in silent witness to what he had just released. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw that face, those wide, empty eyes staring up from the depths. It was as if something had been waiting for him, lurking just below the surface of his own reality. He lay there in the dark, haunted by an unshakable feeling that he had made a terrible mistake. In the days that followed, strange things began happening around Brackenport. Children went missing, slipping away from their parents' sides only to vanish without a trace. Fishermen reported hearing soft, melodic whispers just above the waves, luring them closer until they had to fight the urge to jump into the freezing water. Elias grew more restless with each passing night, the bruises on his wrist darkening almost as if they were spreading up his arm. Shadows crept around his house at night, and he'd catch glimpses of something moving outside his window, a slithering shape that seemed to flow with the mist. He tried to confide in his friends, but they just laughed it off. Too much work, they told him. The sea does strange things to a man's mind. One evening, as he sat alone by the fireplace, he heard it. A soft, mournful song rising up from the shore. It was a melody that stirred something deep within him, filling him with both longing and dread he couldn't resist. He stood up, drawn to the song like a sailor to a siren, and found himself walking to the shore, the salt-laden air cold against his skin. The shore was empty, but the song was louder, more insistent. As he walked along the rocks, he noticed something peculiar. Black stones, polished and strange, were scattered along the shore, glistening in the moonlight. Each step he took brought him closer to a darkened figure at the water's edge. A woman stood there, her back turned, wrapped in something that seemed to blend into the night, her hair cascading down her back like seaweed. "Who are you?" he whispered, voice barely audible above the waves. The figure turned slowly, revealing a face pale and hauntingly beautiful, with eyes like bottomless pits. It was her, the creature from his net. She smiled, showing sharp, pointed teeth. "You set me free," she whispered, her voice a rasp that slithered through the air. "And now I will return the favor." Elias tried to back away, but he found his feet sinking into the wet sand as though invisible hands were pulling him down. The woman moved closer, her hair billowing like shadows around her face. He felt her cold hands on his skin, and the world began to spin. When he awoke, he was lying on the shore, his skin ice cold, his mind clouded with fragments of a terrible dream. He struggled to his feet, but something felt wrong. He was weak, his limbs sluggish, and every step felt like he was dragging himself through water. Days turned to weeks, and soon Elias wasn't the same man. He moved slowly, his skin growing pale, eyes darkening like the sea in a storm. People in town noticed, of course. Some whispered that he had caught a curse, that he'd angered the old spirits of the sea, but no one dared speak of it too loudly. One night, another fisherman, old Darius Bell, was out near the cliffs when he saw Elias standing on the rocks, looking out to sea, his eyes as empty and black as the creature he had freed. When Darius approached, Elias turned, his face blank as though he were no longer fully there. "The sea is calling," Elias whispered, his voice hollow and distant. "She wants us all back." And before Darius could reach him, Elias took a step forward, vanishing over the edge of the cliff into the roaring waves below. His body was never found, and soon rumors swept through Brackenport. Some said he had gone mad, that the sea had claimed him as its own. Others whispered that he still walked the shores at night, his shadow flickering along the cliffs, always watching, waiting for others to join him. And those who dared walk the shore at midnight swore they heard his voice, drifting up from the depths, singing a strange, mournful melody that called to them, tempting them closer to the edge. The townspeople know now that in Brackenport you do not listen to the sea at night. You keep your eyes to the ground and your ears covered, for fear of hearing Elias's call and feeling the pull of the depths. Because once you hear it, you'll never come back.